Yay for remembering to hit record. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Appreciate it. Early morning. Normally this is a whole bunch of checking emails, FMX, and solving some problems, which I'll get right back to after this. But let's see. Oh, look at me starting on the wrong slide. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put my screen and just share my screen mode rather than presentation mode, because I'm going to need to bounce back and forth through some tabs during this. But this is Empowered Learner about ISTE Standard, Student Standard 1.1. And we'll kind of go through some of the things here. This is our team. I'm Dave Hendricks. I will be leading the presentation this morning, and our team also is Kay Menjvar, who is to my right, and Michelle McNeil, Executive Director of Instructional Technology behind us, and our office support, Denise Blanchard, and we are the digital learning team for Johnston County Public Schools. They will be monitoring the chat. So it's a small meeting, so we can definitely stop and answer questions. But if in the middle of something you want to ask a question, there are people here who can answer in the chat. So what this series is about, this Tech Tuesday, you know what? I didn't put a bit.ly, but I should. Michelle, is there any chance you could do a quick bit.ly for everybody when I get started?
I sure can.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This series is, we're calling it Tech Tuesdays. It is the second Tuesday of every month, and we are going to be going through the ISTE standards. The ISTE standards are our digital learning standards for North Carolina, as well as many other places. And one of the things we wanted to do was highlight the fact that in North Carolina, we are very blessed to, just by being an educator in North Carolina, have an ISTE membership. And a lot of people don't necessarily know that, or if they do, they haven't taken advantage of it. And so we wanted to highlight the ISTE standards, show how to connect them to practice throughout this year. And so if you look in your NC Ed Cloud, or for us in ClassLink, go to NC Ed Cloud, you'll see an ISTE membership, and it'll open up and it'll provide you a wealth of resources. Once Michelle drops the presentation in, yes, Michelle?
Can you share the presentation with me real quick?
I can. Should be in our saved one, but I will do. I'll start. Sorry, everybody. This is it's been hard to get as well prepared today as I would have liked. There's an E there, because there is a lot going on at the beginning of the year, as I'm sure everybody knows. There you go. Well, hey, we're already off the presentation. I was about to go here. It'll take you to the a presentation on how to access your ISTE, resources and what's there. And I just, it's all there. I'm not going to go through that. That's not what today is about, but I just wanted to, I wanted to make sure that there we go. I'll show the entire screen. That way I can bounce around. And I just want to share one of the things that is in that presentation, which is down here. There's some quick resources. This is sometimes the thing that everybody's kind of looking for. There are webinars that you can join that are, they're going to be high quality because they are from ISTE. And if you can't make them, they have recordings. So it's good to sign up for them so you get the email and know it's there. They also every year give us a free ebook. This one that is still available before they switch it is Dive into UDL. And with the focus on UDL this year. It is something to definitely make sure you grab before they change it. And Stacy in the chat just said she read it and it's great. So make sure you pop in after this and grab a copy. And there's just a bunch of other resources and topic guides. And that's what we wanted to highlight, draw attention to the ISTE standards, and we're going to go through them one by one each month. So back to the presentation. So the session goals to understand ISTE standard, student standard. There's other standards, there's teach standards and other standards, but ISTE standard 1.1, connect research to standard 1.1 and learn how to put that into practice in minor ways. I mean, it can be, each one of these parts of the standard could be whole sessions, just a tip of the iceberg. But just to give you an example of what the standard says and how you can put it into practice, it maybe sparks some ideas of, hey, that reminds me of something I do. I'm already doing that. Or, hey, I could tweak this a little bit, be more intentional to match the ISTE standard. So what is ISTE standard 1.1? It's empowered learner. Students leverage technology to take an active role in choosing, achieving, and demonstrating competency in their learning goals informed by learning sciences. The first part of the standard A is learning goals, which we'll jump into the next couple slides. Customized learning environments. So what does that mean? Feedback to improve practice and technology fundamentals. So we're going to break down each one of those. So let's begin. One of the goals is to connect us to research. And one of the things that I'm a big John Hattie fanboy. For those of you who know Hattie, I probably don't need to elaborate, but for those who don't, John Hattie's research, in a very small explanation, I'm oversimplifying this, but he's studied everybody else's studies, and it's called a meta-analysis, and he's found out what works and what doesn't. And surprisingly, some things work really well, and some things we assume work don't, or just not as well as the time we give them. And so the number you want to pay attention to whenever you talk about Hattie is this 0.4. It's the hinge point, the tipping point. That means 0.4 is 1 year's growth in 1 year's time, which is what we want. We want to take a sixth grader, a year's worth of learning, ready for seventh grade. However, it's great if we can accelerate that, especially for those who might need to catch up in certain areas. And so he has found certain strategies, practices, more than strategies, more than practices, that just even environments that have an effect size that is greater than 0.4. And when they're statistically greater than 0.4, it can provide more than a year's growth if this is something that is done consistently as part of your practice. And so to move on to that, empowered learners is what this is called, and connected to Hattie's research of, right here in my Hattie book, but when students drive their learning, it has a 0.96 effect size. So doubling that, thank you, Michelle. The presentation is now in the chat. The empowered learner idea, students driving their learning, has, if you double 0.4, 0.8, it's more than 2 years growth. And so Hattie's research talks about students knowing their current level of understanding and where they're going and confident they can take on the challenge. That's that idea of student goal tracking, student self-reporting their progress. By them selecting the correct tools and giving that sort of choice in, okay, I have these options available to me, kind of like right here, what we did. We could present in Canva or Google Slides or something else, or which one would have been more effective. The tool for the job, seeking feedback and recognizing the errors and then doing something about that. And monitoring the progress, again, self-tracking and goal setting. And then ultimately that leads to being able to be confident enough to show others how to do it. All of that stuff from Hattie's research matches beautifully with ISTE Standard 1.1. So the first one is, I have the little videos from ISTE about the standard. If you go to ISTE's site about each standard, they always provide a little video. One thing I'm always a little worried about when I present online, or actually anywhere, is the sound going to work? So we're going to give this first one a shot, and if it works, we'll play them. They're only 1 minute or slightly more. If it doesn't, they are available on the ISTE site. Let's give this first one a shot, and let me know in the chat if you can hear it. That needs to play over, but did we hear it? That's the important thing. No. We did not hear it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just say that every single learning goal on the ISTE site has a 1 minute little video explaining an example of that learning goal. So let's begin with that instead of going through the videos, and let's see if I get the sound fixed later. But learning goals, the idea behind it is students setting goals or charting their own goals and their progress, building that metacognition. Students who know that their effort and their learning has connected to progress, as opposed to, this is an example I used to always say, is sometimes you see the students who are really trying and they would connect their effort to it. You just recognize that as metacognition, knowing what they know and don't. And they are students who can make progress, as opposed to having that feeling that learning is just happening to them. Sometimes hearing oh yeah, I got a good grade, the teacher liked me. The teacher that liked me gave me a bad grade. Has nothing to do with that. We all know that. That's sometimes the perception, but purposely developing that ability to say, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and this is my improvement because I did these things. I had this example of a school I visited in Charlotte, and I looked for the ones in kindergarten. I can't find those pictures, but it was pretty amazing. I'll talk about them. But each student had a binder with different subjects, and they just made, sort of a little assessment where they could fill it in of sort of not yet, working on it, and yes, I got it, and they could fill them in, and the teacher would go behind them and sign it or initial it, just to have that conversation. But it was amazing. I was walking around in the classrooms, and sometimes students would just get up from their seat, walk over to their binder, and fill something in. It had become part of the culture. And I told the person who was leading the tour, I said, oh, this is pretty great. I go, but kindergarten, come on. And she goes, oh, we're going to the next school. I have a class I'm showing you. And so I went, and I spent almost the entire time. We visited 3 schools in that particular school in the kindergarten class, because it was a me problem. I didn't know that they could do it. I wasn't sure they could until I saw it. And I saw a kindergartner. I was watching him do his work, and suddenly the little thing popped up on his tablet that said, yay, you did it, and whatever activity he was. And they know that when it said, yay, you got through this part, that they were supposed to go over to their binder. He stood right up, no teacher direction. She was up with a small group. Other kids were at centers. This was his center. Walked over to the shelf, pulled off a binder, flipped it open to the letters he was learning, and filled in, I know this letter now. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is students self-reporting, self-tracking grades in a kindergarten situation. And I bring that up because the thing I'm about to do is not necessarily a one that's a kindergarten level, but I just wanted to show something very a picture of how younger kids could do it. But I wanted to demonstrate something that I thought was a really nice idea, using some of the tools we have available to us. And so this is something that I've been working with for a few weeks now. And what you may have heard already and may have not is that we now have in our Google upgraded us to essentially a much better account. It has all of the Gemini tools, the AI tools. These are teacher-facing tools, but you have the Gemini, and I'm going to demonstrate that throughout the learning goals a bit. But one of the things I just kind of want to demonstrate is I put this prompt in here, and I'm going to walk you through the idea. But here's Gemini, and oh, hey, I'll just grab it from here. But I did publish a Google Doc with this prompt and step-by-step instructions on how to do this. But and the prompt is in the presentation. I'm going to open up a new chat, and what this is just an easy prompt so you don't have to remember, and I'm going to paste it into Gemini, and you can get to Gemini by going to Google and typing in Gemini. It also lives up in your little waffle menu, but the prompt says, hello, being very friendly, but please act as my helpful instructional coach. I'm a teacher and like to turn my attached curriculum guide into a simple progress tracker for my students. Please read my attached file and do the following. Identify all of the individual lessons, activities, and assessments, organize them into a simple table with these exact columns: date, goal for today, evidence I will collect, status, which is started, in progress, done, barrier spotted, next step. These are the ones I wanted to use. You can obviously change, add, cut some of them out, but or use it as is, but you can customize this. After each unit or topic, please add a weekly reflection row. And the most important step is to format the final output as a clean, simple table that I can copy and paste directly into Google Sheets without any issues. Please do not use any code or complex formatting. And so what you do is then hit this little plus button. And I went into Canvas, went to the 7th grade math curriculum, and I grabbed the curriculum guide, which will show up here. There it is, 7th grade math curriculum guide. And I just want to give a quick example of how this worked. And so if I hit go, submit, what Gemini is going to do is take that prompt. It's going to take the curriculum guide. It's already there. Yes, Stacy, the prompt is on that slide. There's also a link to a published Google Doc that has step-by-step instructions for everything I just said with the prompt as well. So now it's taking our curriculum guide and reading it, reading the whole thing, and it is, with those instructions, it's going to make a chart here. And sometimes it works better than others. If you've ever played around with AI, sometimes you got to fuss with it to get exactly what you want. But there you go. It's going through each one. It doesn't look real great on the screen, but it is creating a chart. And I have Gemini plan to refine it with Canvas. And I'll hit try now. I've been able to play with this a couple times and make it into a formatted chart on Canvas. And from there, I then ask it to just export to Google Sheets. And it gives me a little button that'll say Google Sheets. So if it asks you to put it in Canvas, you say yes, it'll give you a little shot here of what it'd be a little more, what it would look like formatted. But what I then do is I say, I'd like this to export to Google Sheets, and it'll go, all right, cool. And it gives a little button to do that. So everybody, if you're from Johnston County, has a Canvas course in which your curriculum guides live there. And you can just go in there, download it as a PDF. That's what I had to do. It's not a Google Doc here. So you hit download, it's a PDF, it's in the instructions, the next steps, which is everything I just did. Paste that prompt in, attach the guide, and you can then make a student tracker. And so I'm going to just say, make this a Google Sheet, and it'll go ahead and do that. And rather than stay playing around with this forever, I just wanted to give you an idea how AI doesn't have to be the one coming up with ideas. That's the idea, but it can do the work. You can sit there and cut and paste all of the parts of the curriculum guide into some sheet, or you can just tell Gemini, hey, this is all the stuff I want to spend a couple hours clicking. Can you do it for me? So you can go take your brain and do bigger ideas and teach. And so we'll go ahead and head back over here, and we can always answer more questions about that. But I do want to continue on some of the other ideas. So hopefully that you might find that helpful. Customized learning environments. What this is talking about, and I can't necessarily play the video right now, is the idea of UDL, removing barriers, giving students choice in product or process, or even output. And there's lots of ways to do that. And so I just put some pictures of some people's work. These are choice boards or playlists or pathways, depending on how you format them or what you like to call them. But if you zoom on in, it's a student 2 choices for your pathway, and have teacher sign off before moving on to the next step. I put an example down here of, this is one I actually took a picture of at the bottom here in a kindergarten class, colorful pictures. And just so you know, that was their rotation for their centers, and they had a choice of order. They had to do 5 of those 7. They go in any order they wanted to. So giving them some agency. Do you want to do the one I like the best first, or save it for last? That was always me as a child. When my mom would give us fruit cocktail between 4 kids, we'd always have to split the cherries, and I'd save it for my last bite. And do it that way. Or something like, I hate that, I'm saving it for the end, I jump right in. But kindergartners had choice in which 5 of the 7 they did, and which order they did them in. Starting that type of thinking that young, when they can get older, the idea won't seem so foreign. So what do you want me to do? What's the right answer? And that's the whole idea of empowering the learner. It doesn't have to be full, do what you want. It's within a range, and narrowing the choices, but giving them some agency on there. To that end, I'm going to bounce out of this presentation again. And some of you have seen this, but if you haven't, it's just really nice that we have this. Another part of what Google did, it was amazing to hear at ISTE this summer. You know, I knew this kind of thing was coming from Google, but I didn't think it was going to happen this fast. There's a lot of tools out there that are ultimately, they're just wrappers around ChatGPT or Gemini. Google said, well, hey, we can just do it for you. You don't have to go to any of these tools. We'll just build it right in. So if you use Google Classroom, you may have already seen this. If you don't, it's okay. You don't have to use Google Classroom as your main tool. If you prefer Canvas or direct in the curriculum platforms, all of that is fine. I almost clicked off of this, but I don't want to. There's a generative AI course that you can just click on. I want to keep that. I want to check it out. But over here in Google Classroom, to the left-hand toolbar, you'll see that Gemini is now there. And when you click it, it's different than going to regular Gemini. It's built into Google Classroom. You can use these tools without having to use Google Classroom. But take a look at this. They have put in a whole bunch of choices. Now, to be really transparent, it's just Gemini, what were you just at, where you can type anything you want. If you've used ChatGPT, Gemini is another product just like that to make a connection to something you may already know. But what this is these are pre-prompted. And so, you know, there's a difference between a good prompt and a bad prompt. A quick one little sentence one sometimes gets the job done, but if you want really high quality output, there's sort of an art and science to crafting a really good prompt. There's people whose job it is, who get paid to prompt behind the scenes. And that's exactly what they've done here on the screen. And so they've done outline a lesson plan. I could go to regular Gemini and say, hey, I'd like you to make me a lesson plan. But when you click this, there's a whole lot of back-end prompting for you. So it's like a cheat code to getting a really good output while not having to spend a lot of brain power on the prompt. Or if you're sort of new to AI, it lets you start at a higher level than beginner. And so I would recommend checking these out this year. And the one I wanted to talk about now, because custom learning environments, very similar to what we just saw in the pictures, I'm gonna just show you build a choice board. And so if I click build a choice board, it opens up some fields for me to fill in to help it put it into the prompt before it gives me really good output. I would like somebody to go ahead and drop in the chat some ideas of a grade and topic you would like a choice board built for. If not, I have 3 go-tos that I just do when the audience hasn't had their coffee yet. I usually default to mitochondria, or else Tomochichi and the founding of Savannah, because I like saying Tomochichi. Or sometimes the information trade around migration. So if you're just sort of listening and not ready to type, one of those is going to be the prompt. But if you have something you'd like to see, drop it in the next 30 seconds while I caffeinate. Simple machines. Okay, what grade? Sure. Simple machines for 5th grade. Target grade? So I'm just going ahead and type in 5 simple machines. And here's a bonus. You don't have to do this, but additional context like a related unit plan or chapter. If you have something, and remember, if it's in a Google Doc, you can always just go to File, download as a PDF, and attach it. It'll build this based off of a piece of curriculum you already have. So what does that mean? For somebody here in Johnston County, if you have a curriculum document, be it HMH, McGraw-Hill, or Savas, and you wanted to pull that down and upload it and say, I'd like a choice board based off of this unit, you can do that. So you can take the curriculum from the pacing guide and then build something from it. So now we're going to generate the learning objective. This is another step, and it keeps the human in the loop. A lot of times we're worried about, well, I just want it to go take up. I want to be able to tell what to do. Before it generates, it's going to say, hey, here's the learning objectives I sort of figured out from what you told me. Do you think, if you don't think these are good, you can change them. And, go ahead, just know you can drop a standard in for the topic too, but you can also be very basic with it. So look over here, and I'm just going to accept it, but you can customize it and make sure, and then you hit generate, and it's just, I've seen it over and over again. I am a huge fan of AI tools. I spend far too much money on personal AI tools for various projects I like to do, but it doesn't matter. When I see really good output, I still am always, it just makes me happy. And choice board, grade 5 simple machines, and you can expand to see the details and regenerate or edit. So just wanted to point this out. You can go ahead and regenerate the whole thing and edit it and regenerate. So it's not a one shot and done. You still keep you, the teacher, the human in the loop, and can adjust it so you get the output you would like. But just take a look. It instantly made 6 choices. So a simple machine storybook. Create a children's storybook that features at least 4 different simple machines. It gives the time and the materials. Down here, you can just drop it into Google Classroom. If you're not a Google Classroom person, then you can export it to Google Docs and share it wherever you want. And from there, even edit it by hand. So part of Empowered Learner ISTE Standard 1.1b, creating a customized learning environment, that is simply giving some agency to the students, whether it's process, product, or various other things where they can make some choices and exercise some control over the learning. And Google now built in, it can help with that in both ways. I will bounce back over to the presentation now, and let's see. I know I'm going to probably run short on time, but I could talk on these things. I get so excited I could end up over talking on a topic, so I have to edit myself and move forward. Um, Feedback to improve practice. I am going to go fast on this, but this happens to be sort of my thing. I love showing about research-based feedback with AI. And the reason why is I was just bounce back to Hattie for a second. I'm going to talk a little fast on this, but overall, the 0.96 for giving students opportunity to drive their own learning. Within that, 1.1c is students seek the feedback and then do something with it. That is not the exact words. That's boiling it down, but Hattie's research specifically on feedback is a 0.7 effect size, almost 2 years growth. And of course, we've always given feedback, but for it to be, Hattie style feedback, research-based feedback, we have to do it. We have to do it a lot, and it has to be specifically done like this, timely. Just guilty of this, grabbing the 100 papers, putting up in a little crate, waddling it out to my vehicle, whichever vehicle and whatever era was at the time, throwing it in there, driving home, walking it up the stairs to my condo or through the door of my house or wherever. I just remember doing this for many times, sitting it down by the couch, resting for a bit, getting up to make dinner, and then looking at that pile and never doing anything with it. And I'd eventually get to it, chunks and pieces. But sometimes the bigger things, sometimes math tests that really needed to get feedback right away, they're waiting for it, they prepared for it, would come back to me in like 3 days. And that's awesome. Love to hear that you're using Brisk. It is one of my favorite tools for this. And so it has to be timely. It has to be specific. And most importantly, and that's why it's all caps, actionable. If the students go, just look at it and go, cool, got my grade, throw it in the trash, then you didn't get the benefit of the 0.7 effect size. You just didn't. We have numerous AI-powered tools that make this possible now, but the one I'm going to quickly demonstrate is Brisk, because Brisk lives where you already work. That's what I love about it. But I could do timely, but I couldn't do specific. I could do specific, but I couldn't do timely, not consistently. And now you can do this all the time. You can have their feedback to their work before they even get off the bus. So real quick, check the time. I'm doing decent. So what I'm going to do is bounce on over here to, here we go. My Brisk feedback essay is what I titled it. It's a quick little balcony scene of Romeo and Juliet because 91% pass rate. Power of research-based feedback. Love to hear that. And thank you for sharing that. The balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet, everybody knows, is why I choose this. But this is a Google Doc. So many EdTech tools, you have to log into their site or upload, which for the benefit of some of what you get is worth it. But what I love about Brisk is you can just go and type in Brisk teaching, and it'll take you to their site. And right on the front, it'll say, add extension. You can go to the extension store. It'll be there too. And when you do that, it'll live up here in your toolbar. But when you click on it, it'll pop around here. And you can just move it around wherever you like. I always have it there. I had it up in the toolbar to demonstrate how it'll pop out. But it hangs around my whole life like a fun little friend who's just sort of, hey, I'm here if you need me. And what this will do is when you click it, it's wanting me to upgrade. I thought, oh, it must have ended. I present for Brisk a lot at conferences, and I usually have the full version, so I have to re-up that before next conferences. But it does. I wasn't going to show the paid part anyway, so that's good. If the paid part, you'll see when you click this open, you can inspect the writing. I'm not going to talk about all these. I get on a sidetrack. You give feedback's what we want to talk about right now. And yes, Stacy, I will say that I'm, for many reasons, uh, the AI detectors don't work, but the one that I will with limited reservations is say inspect writing, because it doesn't try to analyze AI with an AI tool that tangent, but it'll talk about cut and paste, and it'll give you an opportunity to have that conversation, not just a used AI. Um, Michelle always sort of reminds me when I start talking about it, like, but this is the one I would use, is because it opens up a conversation, is that the second time you do it, it doesn't keep tracking it all the time, and it can seem like a second time on the same paper. She has found that it'll say, well, it was pasted, but inspect writing is a way to open up a conversation, but give feedback real quick. Let's click it. Targeted is the paid version. It's amazing. But I always demonstrate Glow and Grow because it's free. And sometimes, even with the paid version, I would use Glow and Grow because sometimes it's the right way to give the feedback. And sometimes brief and to the point is better than the detail that Targeted gives. So I'm going to hit Glow and Grow, and I can then give it a prompt on what to focus the feedback on. I can attach standards. I can even attach a rubric, which, by the way, I could go make with Gemini or here in Brisk and attach it. However, I'm going to purposely choose nothing just to show you how amazing this is without giving it standards, rubric, or even a prompt. And you just hit brisket like the meat. And it'll go about giving glows, grows, and wonders that I can then put at the top or bottom of the document. Let's go ahead and put it at the top. And I can, by the way, if you can't read it all, you can move it around. I can edit it. I can copy it and paste it somewhere. I can go in here and edit any of these before I give it to the students. I can, if I don't want the wonders or something, I can leave them out. I'm just going to hit insert, and it gives a little chart with feedback to the student. So imagine they turn the stuff in, and at your planning period, they're offering enhancements, or whatever. Next time they open up, they have feedback. That is timely. That is specific to that student, and they can now do something about it, especially if you provide that culture of space of, okay, now take the feedback and we're going to work on it. Lots of different structures to do that. But with 7 minutes, I'm going to move on. But please check out Brisk. And it works right in Google. It works in other places too, but why I decided that it was some tool that I was going to make a part of the stack that I will regularly use is simply because I don't have to go into anywhere. I can open it up where I typically work. So the final one is students learn to, basically it's students learn the right tool for the job. It's technology operations, but it's the idea of choosing the tool that is the right tool for the job. That's the way I boiled it down. And so I just picked up a choice board here that I had made earlier about idea exchange through trade. And what I did is I dropped it into a Google Doc and I added this sentence. Choose a project that interests you. At the end of the product, you will share your learning. You will want to choose a tool or tools that help you convey the findings effectively. You may use any tool in ClassLink. If you would like to use another tool, please ask first. The idea, and there's so many ways to discuss this and take this, it's simply, I just wanted to give it one example to spark some ideas. It's like what I said earlier, when we were getting ready to present for Tech Tuesdays, we have options. Do we present in Canva? Do we present in Wayground? Do we present in slides? Which one would be the most effective for sharing and interest and all that? We settle on Canva. Sometimes it's when are we going to build something out? We will have to say, what are the options and which would be the most effective? If I need to communicate data, what is the best way to do that? And that is something we often take away. We say, okay, you're going to use this tool to do this. But by providing the option of saying, okay, one of the skills you need is choosing that right tool. That's what 11D gets to. So look for opportunities in which you can give a choice of tool, then you're meeting standard 11T. So, well, I went out and I didn't need to. So we'll move along. And in the presentation, I'll wind down before taking questions. But here, there's links to all the Tech Tuesdays for the year, second Tuesday of the month. We are going to be going through the ISTE student standards and help people sort of dive a little into them. They've always been there. They've always been out there. But maybe take a moment every month to say, I want to learn a little bit more about that one. This is our digital teaching and learning homepage, where it lists everything you need to know about our department. September 26th coming up is Fall Digital Learning Day. You don't have to go to the whole thing. There's presentations from 9 to 2, starting at 9, last one at 2 to 3. And there are 3 sessions throughout the whole day. If you have a PD in the morning you have to go to, you can go in the afternoon and vice versa. If you just find one that says that's the thing I want to learn about, you can jump in for that. It's in KickUp, but I believe it's going to be open to anybody who've been trying to do that, because if it's virtual, you can come. And there's going to be things about the Britannica resources. There's going to be things about that are in EdCloud. There is stuff from Adobe coming. There is people from Canva coming. There are various tools that have free versions like Snorkel and TeachShare and a few others. Markify, he's going to be probably from his dorm room. The 19-year-old who wrote that in high school is still presenting on it and working on Markify. But we have Discovery. All our partners are going to be there, plus bonuses. Book Creator's going to be there. So definitely check it out. And this is our menu of services. Sometimes people don't know all things that we can provide assistance with, and that is where that lives. Here is how to get your attendance. This is the code for the morning one is right over here. This is a different code for each one. And you can scan it or put this code into KickUp, and that'll confirm your attendance. And the last slide, I believe, is just our emails and how to contact us. But I'll leave this up for anybody who needs to scan it and get on their way and with their day. But I do appreciate.
We do have a feedback link. Hold on, and I'll drop that in the chat. Just for out of district.
Out of district. Thank you. Yeah. So you can go ahead and join that one if you're out of district. If you are in Johnston County, so last slide is that. There we are. But here's the out of district one, and I'll bounce this right back over if you need this for KickUp, and then I'll bounce back to the other slide. But Michelle is putting that in for out of district people into the chat. And as always, if you have some wonders or questions, I always say to put all of our emails. Put myself, Michelle, and Kay. We, especially this time of year, with trying to fix all of the various things that aren't quite working right. Some of us are sometimes knee deep in fixing a problem, as one of us can get to you if you email all of us, usually at some point. But we will try to get back to you as soon as we can, and whatever means that is. So there, Michelle put the feedback form for out-of-district people in the chat. I'll bounce over to here also for it if you want to scan. But do appreciate you coming, and hope to see you in future Tech Tuesdays. While you do that, our team's here if you want to unmute or ask a question, and we can hang around for a few minutes and answer it if you have any. You are welcome, Stacy. It's why not open it up to all of our friends, people who want to learn if it's virtual? No need not to, and thank you for saying so. Glad you're here. Also, Stacy, you inspired me when you posted a thing about helping people do their books. So I vibe coded one that will help scan to give another option. So hopefully we'll be able to, with what other options we can with some of the AI, if people need to scan those books. So I appreciated your post.
Yeah, the scanning of books and inventorying is a big task. So finding ways to do that is definitely on everyone's mind.
Yeah. So I saw that and I'm like, hey, I wonder if I can do where we can upload a video. So I've been playing around with a video upload that I had vibe coded.
Mhm.
It's it works pretty well. I want it to work better, so I'm gonna get an opportunity to try to make it work. But I think it's amazing that we can go, you know what? I wonder if we can find a solution to this, and actually set about trying to find a solution to make it easy. So I read that, I'm like, that's a great idea.
Mhm. I feel like AI should basically do everything that I want it to do. Sometimes there are reasons not to use AI if it already exists. I'm not going to get it to recreate something that is perfectly good and, just is existing in the world already. But, if it doesn't exist, I feel like I should be able to make AI do it for me.
I agree.
I can
But
get it.
you know what's great is we have the opportunity to actually possibly do that.
I know. If I could get it to do my laundry, that would be a good.
Oh,
I think
now
we're still recording, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
no, I agree. AI laundry. All right,
Yeah,
let's go ahead and shut off the recording now that I think about it. All right, cool.
I'm gonna get my